First off, we're not even dating. Second of all, I don't even like him. Third, he's probably running out of fuel soon, so God knows if he'll ever make it back here.
I'm back, bitches!
Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. I didn't shave. Hello, the anti-corporatist. Hello, Wicked Foxxxy Dragon. Good to see you. Looney Tunes 9000, and we're back. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Got some peace talks today ready to go. Got suggestions from the crowd already. Going to be looking at stuff from Pinkerbell, stuff from Wicked Foxxxy Dragon, and if you have things you'd like us to look at tonight, drop it in the pinned comment. It's a link to a Google Sheet and the information I need to credit the creators if we make it into a clip. Give it a go. The idea behind Friday Peace Talks is that we look at the media folks are consuming and discuss the merits of it, the points they are making, and how they are made. I think long term, this could have some benefits as far as getting us all on the same page, because as we have been talking about, America is currently the control of it is being fought over by two groups, which cannot coexist. I mean, definitionally, they can't coexist. You cannot have people who support an authoritarian dictatorship equally represented alongside people who support representative democracy. The two literally do not function together. So, let's take advantage of the fact that we exist in the age of the internet, and we are all at least doing our best impression of civilized human beings. I'm trying, and talk about where we're getting our information. I would love to start us off with an old favorite on the channel. I think people seem to like this fella as much as I. So we're going to start with you-know-who from you-know-where. It's Bo of the Fifth Column, our Bo from down south. We like this guy on the channel, it seems. No objections here. He brought up an update on the Trump case, which gives me goosebumps. Let's have a gander.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about a story that has been getting a whole lot of coverage over the last few days. And
nope, I'm sorry. I forgot what he was talking about. This is also good, though. He's talking about an update on the story we discussed in an earlier bonus stream. He'll do the intro, so let's just let him do it. But still relevant.
a lot of people have already taken their positions, politically speaking. And now a new piece of information has come out. And it is likely to shift people's opinions in some way, or maybe it will just be ignored. So we will talk about Trump, we will talk about a man in Utah, and we will talk about how sometimes you might want to wait to get more information before you form your narrative. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about and you didn't get a clue from a man in Utah, there was a 75-year-old Utah man who was alleged to have made a bunch of threats against very high-profile people, to include Biden, Garland, James, Bragg. It's a list. It's a list. The FBI reportedly moved in to make an arrest. I think that was done via complaint, and I think it was specific to the alleged threats against Biden, Bragg, and FBI agents in general. According to the reporting, when the FBI showed up, the suspect pointed a weapon at them, did not respond to commands. The FBI fired, and the suspect did not make it. These were the events that were known, widely reported on. This was the accepted chain of events. Commentators formed their positions based on these events. The right wing has been condemning this action and basically framing it as liberals going after this old man.
Okay, so just real quick, he's about to let the other shoe drop. I wanna focus on the first shoe for a second. We know that no matter what the facts ended up being, right-wingers, and I should use clear language on the first try. Let me take another whack at that. Right-wing commentators, the people where right-wingers are getting their information from these days. And if I have it wrong, and you're a right-winger, please do correct me. But Steven Crowder, Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, Jimmy Dore. These are all people who tailor their shows to appeal to the right wing. No matter what the facts were, they would have come to the same conclusion, which is that Biden, bad, Trump, good. Person who wanted to assassinate a president, good. That's what they would have said, no matter what the facts ended up being. Let's look. But they decided as soon as it happened to run their mouths. Let's see what the facts ended up actually being.
A lot of people on the more liberal side of things were kind of saying, look, this is what happens. And this is, why you should identify these threats early and all of that stuff. And whoever did it deserves a pat on the back.
I stand by all of that 100%. And
okay.
I did say that, and I stand by it.
So here is the twist to the story. According to reporting, on March 19th, the National Threat Operations Center received a tip from Truth Social, former President Trump's social media company. According to the reporting, that is what set this chain of events in motion. I am super curious how political commentators are going to deal with this new development, because they already have their established positions. It's at this point, it's impossible to tell how this.
Yeah, I'll tell you how. I applaud the man that killed Hitler for killing Hitler. I don't care that it was Hitler. In that moment, he made the right call. No, it's fine. That's what Truth Social should have done. This guy was making threats against the President of the United States. Of course, you got to report him. No objections. And I want to stick by what we said yesterday about this very topic. I enjoy getting the opportunity to, on Friday Peace Talks, dissect a little bit of Wicked content. I said yesterday, I meant Wednesday, I'm sorry. What we said Wednesday about that. Nothing has changed. Of course, you cannot do that behavior. And the specific things that I said was, when these threats happen, they need to be dealt with. Of course, obviously, they need to be dealt with. You just can't let somebody say, I'm going to get him. I'm telegraphing that I'm going to get him. Somebody please stop me. I'm going to get him. You can't just let that stand. you got to go deal with him. I also said that those of us on the left, of which I am one, would prefer that we send by officer friendly, unarmed, to knock on the guy's door and say, hey, look, I'm not here to physically wrestle you down. I'm here to tell you that there are 40 people outside, and we're going to wait here and boycott your grocery delivery and whatever until you get so tired or so thirsty. We're going to shut off your water, and we're going to wait here until you get so darn thirsty and so darn hungry that you agree to toss your guns out, stick your arms outside the door, let me put some handcuffs on them, and we're going to take you in. That's my ideal scenario. I don't even know how practical it is, but that's the effort towards nonviolence that I would like to see put into play. But the question of whether or not the authorities are going to deal with the guy, there is none. There just is none. Of course he had to be dealt with. It is right-wingers, in my experience, that call for the harsh treatment of criminal suspects. So there's two questions here. Should this guy have been a criminal suspect? Well, Jesus God, did you see the post we showed in the last streams? Yes. He literally said he was going to put on a ghillie suit and get a sniper rifle. Pull a JFK on Biden. That's what he said he was going to do. I shouldn't say literally for the JFK. I'm using a euphemism because for me to say the words that he wrote and left up, for me to say those would get my stream flagged, and rightly so. So there was no question of whether or not there needed to be intervention by authorities. However, the manner in which he was dealt with, I'm willing to have a debate. I'm absolutely willing to have a debate, so long as we understand that this person was deserving of whatever we consider to be the harshest treatment we allow. Because he threatened the president, he threatened the authorities, he called out the authorities who were going to come to talk to him specifically and said that when they arrived, he would engage in violence with them. I do not know what else you need to justify taking action. And if I don't think Bo was trying to do a whataboutism, but if there is somebody out there saying, well, what about the fact that Truth Social was the guy that reported him? I applaud them for doing what they were supposed to do. What I would assume other Trump supporters also called the FBI and said, hey, you should take this guy away, if only to stop themselves from getting embarrassed. I mean, my God. So I have no objections. I have no corrections I'd like to make on my previous coverage of this. What do you guys think? It's Peace Talks. Let's look in the comments. I will say, I certainly think when it comes to the right-wingers, when it comes to the right-wing commentators, I think what this is going to accomplish is getting them to wait one day while they think of new ways they can say this is somehow Biden bad, Trump good. But they're dishonest people. And they run a con, and this makes, the facts make their con more difficult to run. So their behavior is going to be entirely predictable. Let's see what the wicked community has to say. Dawned on me, not one word from the right in anger when Breonna Taylor was murdered in her home by cops in Kentucky. But this guy, oh my God. Yeah. Dawned on me. Don't think we'll hear that on Fox propaganda. Yeah. Pinkerbell, they celebrated the summary execution of Michael Reinoeul. They did that twice. That was their third visit to this guy's house. He was making his own ammo. Reloads. Yeah, take it. Taking the shells, putting in a new cap, powder, and bullet. Yeah. Wicked Foxy Dragon. One would think they would say, see, look, we reported it. We don't want violence. See, we did the right thing for once. Yeah, you'd think, but they very much do want violence. They're just cowards. And they knew that if this would have happened and they didn't report it, they might actually finally get called what they are, which is a terrorist hangout. Rex Trek. Hey, Jake. Good to see you, Rex Trek, my man. How are you? I'll tell you, the post-ill day is when you want to go hardest. I've been getting down. I've just been enjoying walking around not being sick. I'm probably going to make myself sick from overindulgence, but by God, Friday night's going to be a ball. Let's look at some more content from y'all. What do you say? I would very much like to look at what Jess Piper put up. Jess Piper, I am almost positive that this is from last week and was not an early entry onto this week. Heads up, folks. I will rarely look at the Peace Talks sheet not on a Friday because my brain doesn't work so good, and I do not keep track of things very well at all. But that doesn't mean I don't sometimes, and this time I did. Going to record this because it is something I want you guys to take into consideration. Didn't have an end to the song portion. Great suggestion from Pinkerbell here. Let's dive right into it. This is, God help us, posted on X.com. That's what Twitter used to be. If you guys don't want what I assume is just a bunch of viruses built by and mostly for Nazis, don't worry. I'll read the post here on what you can do. But I do recommend following, nonetheless, the person who spoke in this, if you are still on Twitter. All right, this is from Jess Piper, who is a new hero of mine. Oh, excuse me, she's on TikTok as well. Well, there you go. This is why you should run, even if you're in a bright red state.
I talk to you about reframing what it is.
To our friends from literally everywhere else on the world, the colors, for reasons nobody knows, are reversed in the U.S. Blue is lefty, red is righty. Hey, folks, in the rest of the world, it's the opposite. Now you know.
To have a win in rural parts of America. But now let me tell you why it's important that we run. We can march, we can protest, we can try to put things on the ballot to change our Republican representatives. But they do not give a shit unless they have opposition. You can write all day long, you can post, you can drag them on social media. Nothing matters. They're safe in their seat. And when they don't have opposition, they don't have to spend any money to win. And the Republican Party doesn't take that money and stick it in their pocket. They head to blue cities and start chipping away. In Missouri, the Republican Party starts working on Columbia, Springfield, Kansas City, St. Louis, because we didn't compete in 66 seats.
Boom.
We're working on our problems backwards, friends. We're trying to undo what the Republicans do instead of oppose them at the beginning.
Boom.
We have almost 800 members at Blue Missouri. You can help us. This is how we win. I talked to you about reframing what it is to have a win in rural parts of America, but now let me tell you why it's important that we run. We can march, we can protest.
You're asking me to be, it's unfair, Pinkerbell. You're asking me to be a hell of a lot more mature than I think I've demonstrated that I am capable of being. All right, she's right. Jess Piper here is dead on. I also think we can blue Missouri. But look, but the point being, she's completely correct. Her assessment is bam, bam, bam. First of all, if you have a purplish leader, or you have somebody who did appeal to MAGA to get into office, and then their family got a bunch of death threats when they didn't agree to firebomb Target or whatever insane thing, that person might want to try to appeal to a centrist audience. And if they're actually finding that they run against people, they're going to have to work. They need to, first of all, know that those centrist voters, theoretically, are there. That there are people that vote for things other than MAGA stuff there. And second of all, I think the larger point is just perfect. In order to defend against upsets, money will need to be spent. It's true, they won't need to spend as much as in a highly competitive race, but they're going to have to spend. And the idea that there were 66 seats anywhere in the country that went unopposed is horrible. Better to think of it like this. It's ideal to run in a bright red district. It's ideal because the pressure's off. You cannot lose. You're going to be helping America no matter what you do. Either you're going to be you won't be elected, in which case you will have forced your opponent to answer a bunch of uncomfortable questions from local news as you put your positions out, and they have to ask follow-up questions to contrast the other side. If you say, look, I'm going to vote for universal health care for Americans given any opportunity to do so, other person's going to have to explain yet again why they want 10,000 Americans to die every year from lack of health care. You go out there, you get to say whatever you want because you're in a bright red district and there's no reason not to shoot for the moon, baby. By the way, side note, you want to talk about a dark horse victory in Michigan. If you look at the districts Trump won, and I just say this because it's burned into my head because I had to look at this map so many times. But if you look at the districts that Trump won and the districts that Bernie won in the primaries in 2016, same map. Same map. Almost identically. Only difference, when you get to the absolute most left-leaning places, it goes Bernie again. What does that tell you? So, you will accomplish having busted the balls, essentially, of the GOP and made them all look worse by making it clear what they believe in. Remember, most Americans don't know nothing about none of this. By choice. So you have helped with that. You will also have ensured that somebody in a more reasonably winnable district has easier competition because there is less money to spread around. And this season, it is going to be more true than ever because they have a bag on their hip in the Republican Party. They are weighed down by Trump. He is sucking up all their small dollar donors. MAGA has a real big time attracting big dollar donors because they're so damn irresponsible. Really, really annoying to bribe somebody who's too incompetent to fulfill their bribe, you know? We have an opportunity. Historically, they've always been able to outspend us. Not a surprise in a country that's rife with corruption. This time around, we have the ability to swamp them. And I'm sorry, this is peace talks. I'm supposed to be somewhat neutral. But y'all, here's an opportunity to know where I stand, what I'm trying to do. And if you're a MAGA person watching this, I invite you to consider that actually both of us are quite populist. And the folks we hate, that, you know, I'm not saying the folks that we hate are the same entirely as the folks you hate, but the folks that both of us hate, that we agree, both of us agree, MAGA and progressives agree are bad people, we hate them the same. Just consider that. And like Larry Bird, it don't matter if you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to nail it. So here's the deal. Bleed them. Bleed these piggies. Run in red districts. If you're in a very red district, ooh, good. You literally can't lose. You either embarrass them and drain their money, or you get a surprise victory because they didn't take you seriously enough. And literally, even if you're bad at the job, you're not running for a party that is authoritarian. So it is better to have you there than whoever would have been there. Great suggestion, Pinkerbell. I am delighted by it. Let's see what the Wicked community has to say. Dawned on me, Jake, how on earth can we have peace talks with the side that want to end democracy? No, it's a good point. That is, I mean, we've spelled it peace, P-I-E-C-E. I'm going to attempt to personally be quite peaceful and be a good host, understanding that on this one day a week, these folks are invited. They're invited. And so it's not a matter of morality, it's a matter of ethics. I'm going to be kind. Or rather polite. But we should talk about where we're getting our information. That's the idea of peace talks. Is it true, the thing we're saying? Is it not? That's why I don't think personally, and I'm open to criticism here. I welcome it. But I don't think personally there's a ton of value in showing like Tucker Carlson Monday through Thursday. What are we going to learn? That he's lying? We knew this. We knew this a long time ago. Who's the new Tucker Carlson? Jesse Waters. What are we going to learn? He's lying. But if somebody is watching this, if somebody's watching Jesse Waters or Hitler, I don't know, whoever it is that appeals. It was an insult. All right, let me take another whack at that. I apologize. If somebody's watching this kind of content, and they're getting their facts from it, I think we ought to address where we disagree. I think that's where actual peace can come from. When we first agree on what reality is, and then we have reasonable conversations about what we want to do about it. Richard Hinckley, one of those best defense is a good offense things. That's true. Trying to win without doing this is like hoping you'll win a boxing match by blocking a lot. Exactly. Maybe make them spend some energy. Completely nailed it. That's it exactly. Being aggressive on absolutely all fronts, and also understanding that this is the better way to take a hold of variance. I mean, how are we going to have... If we're hoping that we get lucky ever, it won't happen unless we're trying. You know? A lot of times people talk about like, oh, I drove, like actors will tell a story about going out to Hollywood and saying, oh, I just got lucky. And that's true, but they did get lucky, but they were present to receive the luck. You know, they had the funds to drive out to California and live for however many years. Oh my gosh, C-Pup with the very kind $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Oh, now the right cares about the government killing people. Yeah. They don't, actually. They don't. And I promise you, if they had the ability to quietly resurrect this guy, or the hosts of these various shows, if they had the ability to quietly resurrect this guy by pressing one button, or to get half a sandwich when they're a little bit peckish, just one time, by pressing another button, they'd press the sandwich button. They don't give a fuck. They are sociopaths. I'm talking, of course, about the broadcasters. Christy Zilkowski, peace of mind. We're going to use that. Dawned on me the 5. Yeah. That is a really, really well put. Ooh, where's Groove Dragon? I just saw smash the GOP to pieces talks. Wait, what? I mean, look, that's what Salty Saturday's for. I tell you, the venom builds up real quick when I'm trying to be patient. And we're fast approaching a point where the patience to go on talking with right wingers may not be enough. But that said, the point of peace talks is also so that you guys can help my algorithm out a little. I have a tendency to just marathon the same stuff over and over, like the same people over and over. And you know, if it's Tom Hartman or what is that, or Laura Nadi, you know, these are educated folks who I don't think it's hurtful to watch their stuff over and over. But I definitely think you need variety to have a full understanding of what's going on. Son of a gun of what's going on. We got a suggestion from our own Wicked Foxxy Dragon, speaking of. And it feels like we're all in the mood for this. It feels like we could all use this right now. And your old pal Jake's right there with you. Here's Trump supporters. I haven't seen this yet because that's the way peace talks works. But it looks like we're going to see Trump supporters confirming our suspicions. But maybe not. Let's have a look. It's Trump supporters out in the wild at a rally.
Extreme socialism, obviously, we'll all agree communism doesn't work.
Yeah.
But extreme capitalism, as we're seeing right now,
does not
with
work.
this corporate capitalism, also has its problems.
How much money is...
Oh, now, wait a minute. Look at me eating my words. I'm wrong. It's not exactly what I was expecting to hear. Right out the gate, it wasn't. And it touches on a point we've been making over and over and over. Again, remember, you don't have to like people to work with them. When I ask MAGA, for example, to work with us on certain issues, I like to preface it by saying, I know you're going to hate me. Good, go on hating me, and I'll do you the same courtesy. But let's hate each other while fucking over this person who we also don't like. That's politics, baby. We can do that. What is the person we both don't like? Every single time, it is the rich in the U.S. They got 1,000 different ways to say it, but the boss class has got to go. Not bosses as a concept, not managers as a concept. No, the filthy rich, the people that do no work and take huge chunks of our pay and then bleed us further by gambling in the stock market and stealing our tax money when they lose. So they're never actually taking any risk. They're only getting rewards. All right, let's let this play for a minute.
Too much money for one person.
It's a tough call. I know. When they have these billions, you're like, well, they really don't need it. Yeah, we agree with that.
Why Trump instead of Bernie Sanders?
What I look at is more progressives like the Bernie Sanders faction, stuff like that. We actually see a lot of the same problems.
And I would vote for a Bernie Sanders before I'd vote for like a Ted Cruz or a Marco Rubio.
What would it have taken for you guys?
Did I not? God damn. Say it. I'm sorry. You're right. I should let this play. And I will. I just want to say that somebody better pick up the phone because I fucking called it.
To not go into the rally and to instead get ice cream with me, a flaming leftist.
Ha ha!
First of all, you'd
I'd
have
be
to
happy.
buy.
I'm happy.
All right, I'm buying.
Hell yes. I love it.
We are polarized. There is no doubt about it. But I came to this Trump rally on a hunch. I've poured drinks at a Rust Belt dive bar for the last year, and when your county votes for Trump and the bartender looks like I do, people kind of assume that you're on the same page. But sometimes you actually are. So here's my hunch. For all the focus on culture war issues, the working class on the left and the right have a lot more in common than we're led to believe. And if that's true, it could and should have huge implications for the upcoming presidential election. So I went to Erie, Pennsylvania to find out. Are we rolling? Okay. We're here at the Trump rally today. Why did you come out today?
To support my 45th president. He didn't lose. He called out the Washington establishment, and I absolutely loved it.
You know, he's definitely not a Republican because Mitch McConnell and them would be backing him and DeSantis would be running against him. Obviously not a Democrat no more, so we're more of a politically homeless faction that loves America and will make all the changes that we can to make it great.
Prices are just higher. Like, you go to the grocery store, I buy the same thing every time I go to the grocery store. I spend $102 at Aldi's. I was just telling my uncle this. I'm spending over $200 now. So things are more expensive. I think people are more scared.
Our money doesn't have no value, and that's why we're having problems. This whole inflation thing, it's been building and building for multi-decades, and it's getting close now.
You work at McDonald's, right?
I do.
Do you feel like you're getting everything out of work that you're putting into it?
I believe I should get paid more. All I am doing is I'm working my ass off to get my money. I'm a hard worker, and I feel like I deserve more.
I work down in West Virginia.
Yes.
On the rigs for evil Big Red, Halliburton.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Halliburton, we were 2 weeks on, 1 week off, so you never got to go home. We were the lowest paid of all the workers out there. I only made $13.50 when I got hired on.
For Halliburton.
Niecy Nash says, huh? Huh? Foxxxy, great suggestion. My God. Your old pal Jake might need to get off his duff and physically go to some of these places, because this guy is crushing it. Well done, More Perfect Union. Well done, whoever this bartender is. And oh my God, this is what has been suspected on WYCD for a long time. This is what a reading of the complaints has said. It's the populism. Now, what is the effect of this? What is the actual consequence of this, I guess I should say? How does this translate? If you're talking elections, that's going to have to be close to the same old struggle. We're not going to get these people to vote for X or Y or whatever. Most likely. Or if we are, that's a conversation for another time. But let's just take the rest of this and assume that we're not. Is this still useful? My God, yes. We get lefties in office. I mean genuine lefties. We work these primaries so that we get 10, 11 more members that look like more people that sound like they could and should be on the squad, those types. And we turn to these types. And we do what we've been saying. We stop considering the whole fight to be the election. It really isn't. It's the elections tell us what the likely limitations of what we can do are. But we work with these folks. And we say, look, I think Matt Gaetz ought to be in prison. I'm going to keep working to get that guy in prison. But in the meantime, I got my people voting to raise your minimum wage. You get him to do the same. He has no soul. He has no feelings. He has nothing except a desire for power. So you do the thing you always do and tell him that his continued hold on power is dependent on him raising your wages. And get him to vote with us. I think MAGA is going to probably, it's planned independent on this, but I think it's probably going to weaken in the upcoming election. I think people are getting a little bit embarrassed by it, but I don't think the populism is going to go away. So, just simply because it's one of the few things they can talk about openly. So, let's use it. Let's use it. Let's let this keep going for a bit. But I'm excited by what I'm hearing here. And I'm excited that somebody is asking these questions because this is where we can work. In fact, let's take a second. Look at what y'all are saying right now. Ooh. Jake, you slacker, says the anti-corporatist. Well, you've got the measure of me. I sent you this on Tuesday. Heck, even the Young Turfs covered it by yesterday. Well, you're not wrong. I'm sorry. This is good. This is a good suggestion, anti-corporatist, and I toss praise your way as well. I should have looked at this. Mars Falcon, if you think Bernie and Trump are similar, you are detached from reality. True, but I think Bernie and Trump voters are appealed to on similar grounds. I don't think that Trump does anything except look out for his own personal interests constantly. But the way he got elected was in part, and remember, he ran in 2020 and he didn't have it. He didn't have the juice. He got a lot of votes, but he didn't get elected in 2020. He did get elected in 2016 in part because he said, the system is corrupt. I cannot be corrupted because I've already won in the system, and so I'll do the things that need to be done. Bernie Sanders was just actually honest about it. Now, admittedly, Trump said a bunch of other things too, but I still think strategically the connection is there. Christy Zilkowski, I love that you don't agree, don't agree with your optimism about the ability to save our democracy and give power back to the people. It will not happen. We don't have enough time left. I'll be proven right. Not bragging, just a realist. Well, here's a couple of points I would make. Thing number one is democracy is finally fighting back, as in our elected representatives, bourgeois class though they are, their power is now threatened, and they see it. And they're actually fighting back. This means that we no longer have the burden of having to, 1, convince them to fight back, and 2, influence how they fight back. So good. One of those burdens taken care of. Now we just need to influence how they fight back where it's necessary. So I would say, for example, you remember I was talking about, what was it? Florida's SB Senate bill, whatever the hell, I don't remember, 1428, I think. The one that said they should kick Democrats out of office. Any party that once supported slavery, they said. My retort to that is not to wipe the concept of the bill off the table entirely, not to push it off, but to say, let's change that. Let's say any party that supported an insurrection. If you've got members of your party that supported it, that state can't run for office. We should go as drastic as that. We should hit them as hard as they're trying to hit us. And it has begun as well. The trumpeting. He seems to be just about out of rope. But if you're asking, will we full on lose democracy? It's possible. I'm not gonna. It's possible. If a person with an R next to their name wins in 2024, probably gone. Yeah. Not Christie, not Haley, but I don't think there's any chance that either of them will make it. If the current crop of Republicans, even Pence for that matter, I think that's it for us. But I'll point out that Biden's the incumbent, and he won when he wasn't the incumbent against Trump, before Trump was charged with all this stuff, before January 6th even happened. People have seen how Trump runs a country. We didn't like it. It's really going to be if somebody with Trump's charisma is willing to do DeSantis stuff that ends up deciding that, I think. Christy Zilkowski, to me, optimistic people simply don't know enough about what's going on in the world as a whole. It's all burning around us in every direction, in every genre. Yes and no. I mean, yes, literally, but the issue there, and I'm surprised I'm taking the stance of optimism here. The issue there is that it becomes more visible. So the lazy folks finally are starting to see the people that were just listening to lefties argue with insane people are now being like, oh, they're arguing over something that's happening. Well, maybe I ought to take it seriously. So we have that advantage. It's not much of one, or rather, it's not a happy one, but it is an advantage. The other thing is that, I mean, at the end of the day, this stuff all just became too interesting. This wasn't interesting before, and now it's interesting. It was tactically boring before, because boring was a great way to cover embarrassing realities that we were dealing with. And the fact that it is no longer boring, the fact that you've got a generation of kids who have basically said, no, Republicans are verboten from here on out. I think we are on the edge of a major shift, and we're going to have scars from this fight, no doubt about it. The weather is probably not going to go back to the way it was, even if we do a hell of a lot of impressive things in the coming decades. But being a scarred victor is still being the victor, which I think is entirely possible. And I would put our odds at better than not of winning. But I'm not going to lie to you. You're not wrong to worry about the other option, because that's also very much on the table.
For Halliburton, yep. Probably wouldn't even have an Iraq war if it wouldn't have been for the Halliburton and Cheney and stuff. We were
case in point. That is somebody who a right-winger now has to appeal to. Think about that. We did an entire war for 20 years based on a lie. Why didn't, at any point, drastic action stop the war in its tracks? Because it was over there, not over here. Now the problems are over here. Iraq still exists. Not doing great. Still exists. And it will in future days. The United States will go on existing, and hopefully before we let it utterly dive into hell.
Expendable. That's all it was. Halliburton, Big Red, they called it. You're just part of the machine, and the machine can be replaced.
As expendable as, people who went over to fight a rich person's war in Iraq.
Yep.
Ha!
5 years ago, I came to the realization that I've been hoodwinked. I have zero respect for Dick Cheney. I have zero respect for George Bush.
What did it for you there, and why did you end up going towards Trump?
It was a lie.
And this
they lied about the Iraq war. There was no reason for us to go into war in Iraq other than the military-industrial complex wanted a war.
The global corporations, do they have, the Goldilocks question: too much, just enough, or too little power? Where would you place?
I feel like their only thought is more money,
right?
More power. That's all you care. Whoever has the most money.
Obviously, it's too much.
Yep.
When you have a company like BlackRock that's worth $9 trillion,
and Vanguard's what?
Vanguard's $8 trillion. Obviously, I'm not going to argue there's a problem with that.
Preach it, comrade, brother man. When did this guy get Jesus? When on earth did Jesus come down and start talking to the folks hanging out in Sodom and Gomorrah? My word. Correct. My point is not that the work is done. The mountain hadn't been climbed. I'm not saying that. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that buck-toothed, balding person, no, the other one with the gray hair, that is a foothold It surely is. Great suggestion, dual credit, Wicked Foxy Dragon, and days before, even though I'm too dumb to have seen it, the anti-corporate is well done.
Do you think the finance sector, does it have too much power, just the right amount of power, not enough power?
Way too much power.
The financial sector.
100%, yes. These people really, a lot of these people they don't realize are unelected officials. So all these politicians have this plan for how they're going to fix the economy, but then they just get in there, they don't do anything, and they're funded by the people, and those people are not elected, and they control the people that are elected.
What role do you think, the consolidation of these larger corporations? I came from an agricultural background, and now...
I just want to say, I realize he had a picture of Joe Biden on his shirt for a different reason. I'm going to assume a racist reason. I don't even get the joke. I'm just going to assume. But look, you have to admit there's a certain irony in people who are at their hearts populist wearing Joe Biden swag in 2023. There's a through line there that I'm not bright enough to form something witty out of. All right, let me say this. Once upon a time, I was working on a mechanical project with a buddy, and we were trying to make sure that it wasn't turning on. It was a series that we were building something. I'm truly having difficulty remembering what it was. I think it was like a kind of wireless phone charger that we were trying to solder ourselves. We were ambitious. Wasn't working, and so we were passing this voltometer back and forth, saying like, well, maybe I'm not used to using this. Maybe you know it. Well, in the same room, I had two other buddies who believed in nonsense, who were trying to pass a ball of invisible energy back and forth. They enjoyed pot as well. Between them, and I just started cracking up because functionally, what we were doing was the exact same thing. I was sure that we were in the right. I do not believe in anything vaguely woo or astrology or any of that. Kudos to you if you do, or more power to you if you do, whatever. But functionally in that moment, our machine that did not work, that we were passing back and forth, trying to read the energy of and getting nothing, was the same as the invisible nothing being passed back and forth with no readings. I feel that moment again, looking at that guy wearing the Biden shirt. Begrudgingly, I assume. The difference being, I suppose, we were not satisfied with no readings, and we got that goddamn machine to work eventually.
It'll be 3 or 4 companies that control the entire market for chicken, for eggs, for beef.
That shouldn't happen.
Yeah. The working class has gotten beaten up because of the loss of small businesses. And my question would be, well,
my God,
I would say, well, why aren't they here anymore?
As a small business owner, I feel like we aren't represented that much in America.
Do you see a problem with that kind of operation?
Oh, 100%.
When it's concentrated.
Because the big guys are beating out the small guys, or even the family-owned businesses, easily.
A lot of that's driven by these really large corporations that are, just by their size, pushing the little guy out.
Yes.
How big of a problem do you think that is?
That's an ultimate problem. That reminds you of watching them westerns, movies when they would go to some small town and the one guy owns the bar, he owns the tack place, he owns that. Yes, there's so many houses for sale in our neighborhood. I was going to go to town and say, are these all, can we find out, are these just real people buying them, or is this like proxies? See, BlackRock proxies, Vanguard proxies. Ooh. Are they buying all these homes so people can't own them and they're just going to rent them?
Would you be excited if Trump...
All right, look. First of all, folks, thank you for suggesting that. And I'm sorry I didn't see it earlier. That's a great piece. Fantastic piece. it speaks to the thing that I do believe, and I have been seeing. Let me go back. Let me go back to that analogy, the analogy of the machine. And by the way, I'm about to establish nerd credit because I remember what it was now. We were trying to make essentially a Pip-Boy from Fallout, but so that it would hold a phone. This was before Fallout 4, folks. It would hold a phone and be on your wrist, like one of those watches, but bigger. Let me go back to that analogy. I'm not suggesting that that these folks yet are going to be of huge use to us, or even to themselves in accomplishing the things they say they care about there. But we measure, one of the ways we make discoveries is by making predictions and seeing if the evidence bears out those predictions. Then that's how we know if we're on to something. We've been saying on this channel for a while that we have accepted the framing given to us by centrists, Democrat and Republican, for an awful long time. And politics does not work like that. Politics is of course a dirty business. And it's also a heartless business. It should be done by people with great big hearts, but the actual business is simply getting enough people to agree on things. As we have this divide in both of our parties, which I don't think there's any disagreement on that this divide exists, we should start looking at the other groups. There are two kinds of Democrats right now, two distinct kinds of Democrats. There's the centrists who, surprise, surprise, you will find do not pay very close attention to what they're being told. And there's the progressives who are very populist. And then there's two parties in MAGA as well. And of course, progressives pay extraordinarily close attention to what they're being told. Progressives watch shows like this, which analyze media. Progressives do the most work out of anybody because somebody's got to do the damn work. There's two sides in the Republicans as well. There's the GOP. They are the centrists. They basically want everybody to go back to sleep. And then there's MAGA. They have no idea how politics work, but they do know how the country works. Folks who are MAGA tend to be populist as well. When we're making strategic decisions, I'm not suggesting that we're going to swing open the doors and say, come on into the party, Nazis. No. We are going to have the same disagreements that we have always had with these folks, so long as they keep attacking the same groups that they've always attacked for no damn reason. But that does not mean we should ignore where we can work with these folks. And when I say work with, I mean we get them to contact their folks and push them in a direction we think they can be convinced to push them. And we do the same for our folks. Insisting, for example, that Norfolk Southern adopt this or that safety concern. Insisting that, what did that guy say, BlackRock get broken up into smaller companies. Things of that nature are going to be the kind of deal-making you and I are able to do. We're in a new era. Let's act like it. The kind of deal-making we're going to be able to do. And we should be doing. And I cannot thank you guys enough for that video, because this is something we've been saying for a long time based on offhand comments by Trump supporters and analysis of primaries and blah, blah, blah. Hard to say it better than in their own words. Excellent find, y'all. Pinkerbell, okay. God, if we had someone that was hitting messaging that would persuade the kind of people in that video, we could be such a powerful bloc. Agreed. But, like, corporate Dems would never. Oh, totally. But let me throw this in there. We can have extraordinarily temporary alliances. You know? We can have, like, single issues that we form an alliance on. I think even though we are a two-party system, technically, we're functioning less and less like that. We're just sort of, we're agreeing to have multiple elections to get somebody elected instead of the one. Which, fine. It doesn't, it really, it's a matter of what dance do we do. But we agree that we're dancing, so fine. It makes me... I just really want to be clear that temporary alliances don't mean that we're pals. It does... I'm glad that populism appeals to these folks. These folks 20 years ago were bumped just a little bit up socioeconomically. It wasn't as hard to live their lives then. And when that was the case, they did not think about this stuff at all. And if you are a progressive and you're thinking about this stuff, I don't know what you fall into. Maybe you make a lot of money. Maybe you make no money at all. If you're a progressive and you're talking about this stuff, it's because you found out about it, either through life forcing you to find out about it, or through hearing about it and trying to learn a little bit more. But you should understand when you're talking to them that angle. A progressive could be there for any number of reasons, but they have decided that to deal with it, they're going to help people aggressively. And MAGA has arrived at the conclusion that to deal with it, they're going to burn the damn country down. I say this in part so that you understand why I'm not going to make, huge... I'm not going to try to get them voting in our primaries, for example. I don't even want to mix that up. However, it's also useful for when you're making an appeal to them. So you're less likely to make an appeal by saying, let's build this thing together. Which is that's the old way that Joe Biden would get excited about. But if you say, let's burn this particular motherfucker to the ground, then you're likely to get them on your side. And there's a lot of motherfuckers need burning to the ground, so we'll have plenty of opportunities. Ooh, Christy Zilkowski. I've quit smoking. Hell yeah. That may be a source of my pessimism. Ignore me tonight. Your pessimism's welcome, Christy. I would, at some point, your old pal Jake's gonna have to venture out into strange waters, and I can't keep hoping that I have gracious Canadian friends to walk me through the show. So, let's puppy fight a little bit, Keep me on my toes, get me defending things I'm saying, and as often as I'm right, I think I'll find that I'm wrong, and I'll thank you guys for showing me. Tao and Jack, yes, also congratulating Christy. Well done. You got that willpower, man. All right, let's enjoy ourselves a little bit more. There is something that I've been wanting to check out with y'all that I didn't play last time, but it speaks to what's coming up in the near future. Here's a quick one from Legal Eagle. Y'all, there's nothing to do about this. There's not much to add. It's just a fact. Let's have a look at how a J6 defendant is doing.
If you're on trial for storming the Capitol in one of the funniest minute orders ever, well, here, I'll just read it to you. This is straight from the judge. Defendant, while on pretrial release and facing charges including a serious felony offense stemming from his alleged actions on January 6, 2021, wishes to leave the Michigan winter to spend 10 days in the warmer climes of Jamaica to meet the family of a woman with whom defendant has been in a committed relationship. Although such a meeting may be an...
Can we 1 second? We'll get back to the order in a second. Can we just, who the f is this guy? Brother man, I understand on so many levels this guy. Do you understand that if not for politics, there are a bunch of people on this earth who I'd be having a blast getting along with? Let me got an insight into him. He's trying to get out of the Michigan winter. Lord knows. I understand that. Yeah, look, even if it's not the cold you're worried about, it hadn't been that cold the last couple of years. But even if it's not that, by God, the slush and the salt in your poor car, I get it. Wants to go to Jamaica for the winter? Oh, Lordy, I understand. To meet the girls, the what was it? Family of a girl he's sweet on, and it's in Jamaica, huh? I get it, brother. I get it. Why you gotta be a traitor? Why you gotta do that? Just that one other thing is the issue. If only you hadn't let politics make you act crazy, we would have been pals. But no, you just had to be a Johnny Reb, and I can't abide it.
Important step in defendant's personal
Nor can the
relationship.
judge.
Defendant surrendered his entitlement to unfettered international travel when also, quote, he allegedly announced his intent to, quote, storm the swamp. And 1 week later, on January 6, 2021, followed through by joining a mob at the Capitol that, in his words, quote, took that building, an event he allegedly viewed as the, quote, proudest day of his life. This court will not commemorate the 1-year anniversary of this attack on the Capitol by granting defendant's request for non-essential foreign travel, signed by Chief Judge Beryl A. Howell. Dang. Here's a pro tip. Don't ask to go on vacation in Jamaica if you're on trial for storming the Capitol. In one of the funniest minute...
Beryl Howell, ladies and gentlemen. Been seeing that name a lot. You're going to see it a lot more. It's at this point, is there anything special about saying this judge is involved with a Trump case? I just assume, based on the amount of legal jeopardy Trump is in these days, that every other judge I see is dealing with some Trump case. Oh, God. I'll tell you this. I don't like that person as a human being. There's all the signs that I should have liked him, except for just that one thing, which is a pretty big damn thing. But I got to admit that I respect the balls. You know, the chutzpah of turning to the court and being like, can I go to Jamaica, though? Look, I know that I'm supposed to be in a jail cell right now, and I'm being allowed to walk around as a free person while you're deciding if I really did the thing that I wrote online that I was gonna do, and then I did, and then I wrote online that I did, and that there's video evidence of me doing. and that 1,000 other people have gone to prison for. Let me say that again, prison for. But can I go to Jamaica, though? False. I can respect that much at least. And I'm delighted that Beryl Howell isn't putting up with that nonsense. In decades past, they might have. But one thing that has happened culturally is that our judges are sick of this nonsense, and now they're being real about it. Pinkerbell. I've never known more prosecutors' names at the same time, right? The only names I remember from the legal profession in the 90s are obviously Ed Dragell the GOAT. But what? Judge Ito and Johnny Cochran. That's all I got. But you ask me about today, I'll be like, Jesus Christ, I listened to a podcast from a famous former lawyer by the name of Michael Cohen. Like, the amount of lawyers who I am familiar with. That's such an annoying but correct point. You're right. The amount. This is meant for Warhammer facts. It's not meant for keeping track of all these frickin' lawyers and judges. But you're right. Oh, good God! All right, y'all. I've had a blast hanging out, but I am still a tad bit recovering from being ill. So I'm going to call it a night there. Thank you for joining me on Friday Peace Talks. If you oh, wait a minute. Did I let you down? Oh, thank God I didn't. Good. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you haven't, consider subscribing. And I will see y'all tomorrow for Salty Saturday, where I will inexplicably be saltier than I currently am in discussing the downfall of decency and its rise like a phoenix from the annoyed ashes. I'll talk to y'all soon. Oh, my name's Jake.